Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, December 16th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. Oh, it's going to be a busy day on the beat. We're just 5 days away, of course, from the Ohio State-Tennessee showdown at Ohio Stadium this Saturday night, first round of the CFP. So obviously, Dan and I are going to talk a lot about that. The transfer portal is heating up. And today at noon, we get head coach Ryan Day. Now, we met with Coach Day, about 12 days ago on signing day, which most of it just turned into us asking him about what the hell happened against Michigan. And we have not talked to Chip Kelly at all. We didn't get him after the Michigan game. We haven't got him at all since the Indiana game. So that changes today. After Day is done speaking at 12:30, we're going to get Chip Kelly finally. So we get Chip Kelly today. We're also going to get a few players today. So busy day on the beat. Portal is heating up. Dan and I are going to get into that and much more. But I want to let you know about our returning sponsor, Mando. I love Mando. You guys apparently do too, because they keep sponsoring the show. And I can see why. It's a great product. It really is. And we have a great deal for you guys, so you can check it out yourself. It was developed by a doctor. And if you're like me, we're using them or have been using the same deodorant for years and years and years and years, it might be time to try something new and better. And that's where Mando comes in. And they've got a bunch of cool products, many different scents. I like the bourbon leather scent. I also like this one, which is Pro Sport. And I like the cream tube deodorant. I also they give you a stick tube. That's what I used for years. Never used a cream tube deodorant before. You just put a little pea size, a little dab on there, and wherever you have odor and don't want it, as they say. So Mando's a great product. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Again, shopmando.com and use code Bucknuts. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, Dan Rubin. Let's bring him in here. Always good to see him on a Monday. Welcome in, sir.
How are you this fine Monday, Dave? Game week?
Doing great. Yeah. It was a good day. NFL football yesterday, not just my Bengals winning, but other reasons. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, man, good day. And then 5 days away, it's crazy. It's crept up on us here. But hey, it'll be 3 weeks to the day of the debacle. So it's gonna be interesting being over there today. It's basically what they're doing is the CFP is kind of controlling the media schedule to a degree. They're saying you have to do certain things on certain days, and then Jerry, Emig, and Ohio State can decide what time. So we're getting Coach Day today. We're getting Chip Kelly. We're getting 4 players. Then tomorrow we're getting Knowles and 4 players. And then Wednesday we're getting just Day again. And we have practice availability tomorrow. The CFP's controlling it when they're giving us practice availability. Right. So busy week. But yeah, man, it's creeping up on us. Let's just start with that. Let's start with the vibes. I don't know what my vibes are. People keep asking me. I had my I was down in, my former neck of the woods, your current neck of the woods. On Saturday for my side of the family's Christmas party. And everybody's asking me, what do you think? You think they're going to win? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of agree with the percentage. I did a story yesterday. So Ohio State's favored by 7. We know that points wise, but I always like the win probability, ESPN's Football Power Index, and they have 68%. It's pretty much right in line with what I've been saying. I'm picking Ohio State to win, but I'm like a 6.5 on a 10 scale. 65% out of 100. So yeah, I'm right there with them. I find that interesting. 68% chance of winning according to computers. Favored by 7. And here's another thing, Dan, before I turn it over to you for your vibes on this game. For those that are thinking Ohio State's like this big underdog now in the playoff, they have the third, tied with Georgia for the third best odds of winning the national championship. I know. Let's just get past Tennessee first, because this is not going to be easy this Saturday night. But your thoughts on the vibes? Can they rally the troops and just man, it's crazy. It's going to be here before we know it.
You did a real good job there of kind of articulating where my brain is, and that I really, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this out loud, given my position. I have no idea. I would almost accept an argument for anything if you could provide some good anecdotal evidence. If you told me Ohio State comes out, is hitting on all cylinders, just looks great, kitchen sink comes out and they win 42-18 or something, that's not unbelievable. I don't really see a scenario. I hate to say that out loud. I don't know. We've gone into so many games this year, Dave, where I've just said, if they can just get off to a good start, I still feel the same way. I really do. It sounds so simplistic, but there used to be games at Ohio State. I don't know if you remember these. They were so fun where, like, get the ball, you score a touchdown. They'd go 3 and out. You'd get a touchdown, and the game is essentially over. They're playing catch up. You pin your ears back. Your athleticism comes out. We just can't seem to get out of our own way. The Oregon guy rips the ball out of Judkin's hands, or Jeremiah gets hit from behind against Iowa, even though they won that game. They can't get off, it doesn't seem like, to a tremendous start and get the other team in the position where they're like, wait a minute, they really are that talented. They really are overwhelming us in every spot. So we could do that. We could do that to anybody.
Yep, and then you give them hope. Then you give your opponent hope, which is a great point. Which is what you're. I'm sure one of the things you're getting at there.
Yeah, it's like you don't. It's not like the other team doesn't have cable access. They know how good you are. Okay, they're getting the press reports too of the talent, and they want. Who looks at mock drafts? Other players. You know what I'm saying? So they know. And when you get into a fight with someone that highfalutin, as it were, and you stick in there, you start to think, you know what, we can do this. And also, look, and I guess the playoffs change this, but Ohio State is everybody's Super Bowl on some level. There's a reason game day has a standing, hotel room in the city. So you get everyone's best punch. Now that should prepare you for the playoffs. I've never really liked that theory about, we get everyone's best punch. That's actually a good thing. That means you're playoff or tested. For the NFL or college, you should be getting better each week. And if you have the best players, you have no excuses. So do we have the best players, Dave? That's one place I've started to go to. Like, if this happens over and over and over again, and we never see, you tell me right now off the top of your head, what was a great performance from Ohio State this year? Where you were like, everything clicked. You walked away from the game. There was no like, but we also missed 3. We also kicked out of bounds 3 times.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But,
right. Yeah, that's the thing. The second half against Indiana. Yeah, but the first half. Yeah. Well, what about the way they responded in the Penn State game? Yeah, but they got down 10-0. You're right. They just were never able to have that look of we're the juggernaut, because we kept saying there's not a juggernaut. There isn't. There's not a juggernaut team in college football this year. Maybe Oregon will run through this and prove they are. But even Oregon, Ohio State went to their place, really outplayed them, should have won the game. There really isn't. Listen, you can't. I know Western Michigan ended up being a bowl team, whatever. You can't use that as well. Western Michigan 56-0. We're talking about of the real games.
It's the eye test, Dave. You've seen a million Ohio State games. You know the vibe. There are times when they have literally blown out good teams and made them say uncle. It never happened. It never, they're inconsistent. They make too many mistakes. There's a penalty or a turnover at an opportune time. Dude slips and falls down at the inopportune time. The only good part about all that is a lot of that stuff is of your own making. So if you just don't do it, you should be better off. Look, they could come out.
Do it.
They have. If
Chris Rock.
Here's one thing you mentioned that I really want to point out. As bad as we feel about the team right now, if Las Vegas doesn't feel the same way because they aren't living in Columbus and they aren't wearing the Michigan drama as like a cloak. So they're using their brains and their dollars. That's Pittsburgh for dollars.
Dollars.
Yin's going downtown. Anyway, so they're saying it realistic. And then when you look at the odds, the other teams in there aren't that good. There have been times when I felt like Ohio, and I mean, look, Georgia, this Georgia team they're pumping up, that what 14 overtimes with Georgia Tech, Texas, who have they beaten? Those are the teams that are rated ahead of you. Okay,
right?
Oregon, who you've already played, who's a good team, but Oregon is no juggernaut, dude. I mean, Oregon is not Joe. This is not Joe Burrow's LSU people. I mean, not even close. So I'm kind of two minds. And this is what makes it frustrating, I think, for everybody. If they could just get out of their own blanking way, just play regular football, don't turn it over. Just have the equal number of possessions to the other team, and you have the best team, you should win. So it's not unrealistic at this point for them to win 4 games. As hard as that sounds, and when you list the games out, do the road for the other teams. They're no good. They're no better than Ohio State from a talent perspective. Yes, Penn State's road is easier, but who have they beaten? So
they better beat SMU, and we'll get to Penn State's backup quarterback.
They may not.
I mean, that's the thing. And Ohio State, Tennessee, this is going to be a tough game. No doubt about it. I mean, no doubt Tennessee's coming ready to play. This will be, as you were saying, this is their Super Bowl. They haven't been really relevant since they won the national championship in '98. They were relevant 2 years ago. If there was a 12-team playoff, they would have been in it 2 years ago. With that, you could tell Heupel was bringing them back. They're a physical team, kind of a better version of Michigan. But if Ohio State can get past Tennessee, and again, we're acting like Ohio State's like, it's a pick 'em game or something. Ohio State's favored by 7. They're playing at home. If Ohio State can get past Tennessee in what I expect to be a very tough, physical, close game, that makes the Buckeyes really dangerous in this thing. That makes them really dangerous. It'll be like they won't erase the Michigan game, but it'll give them confidence. They'll have a win under their belt all of a sudden. Then they'll be hearing that they're the underdog going to Oregon. They will be going to they'll play that game in the Rose Bowl, even though they were slightly favored over Oregon last time. That line is already out. If Ohio State plays Oregon, Oregon would be a 1.5 or 2 point favorite. So Ohio State as an underdog, very dangerous. Now they have to get past Tennessee first, but if they do, they become very, very dangerous, in my opinion, because we know they're talented enough to win it all. People think this is the best roster in the country. So Ryan Day's getting a lot of heat, and rightfully so. Chip Kelly's getting a lot of heat, and rightfully so. It's going to be interesting to see what Chip Kelly says today. But, yeah, man, I mean, if they get past Tennessee, all of a sudden the Buckeyes become extremely dangerous. You do not want to see them.
Guess what? Also about the Rose Bowl. By the way, this is just me. That is my second favorite football venue is the Rose Bowl. There's something about the Rose Bowl is like the world's biggest high school stadium. It really is a bowl. That's a huge difference when you go to a game. And an impressive, there's nothing to me like the Rose Bowl. I'm definitely biased because there have been Super Bowls played there that have mattered a great deal to me. But on grass, what's good to do at the Rose Bowl? Pass the ball. It's always about 65 to 70 degrees, no wind. If they can get to the Rose Bowl, keep in mind, if they do that, they'll have some momentum coming off Tennessee. Then I really honestly, I'll talk about anything at that point. You get us into the warm weather. You get guys feeling like it's Florida again. And then, then I'm into it. But this game, it's hard to get your mind around the possible ramifications of this game if you play it out. It's more like I really honestly believe we are entering into uncharted waters. Put it this way. Some team is going to win 3 or 4 games and have 3 or 4 weekends with the national public. And they're going to be guys you've really never heard of who become household names. There's going to be guys who rocket up the draft chart because some owner's wife is going to watch the playoffs and overdraft Dylan Gabriel, something like that. Because that's what happens in the NCAA tournament. Don't kid yourself. Guys inflate their value or decrease their value because of the tournament. And now you've got that in football. So, look, keep this in mind. Think about this for a second. What if Will Howard wins 4 games against those 4 teams in front of everybody, including the NFL scouts? He goes up to the second round. That's unavoidable. Someone is going to make a lot of money. And I would say this to all the guys on the Buckeyes. You came back to win one. You also came back to improve your NFL stock. This is your chance. For everyone saying the Buckeyes have nothing to play for, We talked about this a lot. Every single guy that comes to Ohio State, there's a reason they say 3 or 4 years when they get the hats out. They think they're going to the league, okay? This is your chance. 4 weeks of spotlight play in front of the league, and the teams get lower every week. If you're a butt kicker, you can take your – just imagine, hypothetically, let's say Lathan Ransom plays the 4 best games of his life. He's going to make himself several $1 million more. All these guys, Jack, JT, everybody, this is your chance to really show everybody, what you're about. So, I mean, I really think their opportunity is there. They have the talent, and they should be healthy. That's another thing we don't take into account. This much time off, you feel really good in football. By the end of the season in football, anybody who's played at any level, they know, especially in the winter, you're putting on it. Going to practice at football at the end of the year is tough. 3 weeks off to rest your bones up a little bit. At least let's go in there and give them our best punch. That's all I care about. Drop the hammer, empty what I said last week, Dave. Where's the kitchen sink? Let's see it. What did I text you? How many targets are acceptable for Jeremiah? 15? How many targets for Caleb Downs on offense? 5? I would do that. I'm also trying to make sure those guys come back to Ohio State.
I like both of those things.
Do that.
But it's going to be interesting. The whole thing's going to be interesting today. Coach Day, but especially Chip Kelly, since we haven't talked to him in a while. I'm curious about a lot of things. Like, I wonder how much he'll even talk about the Michigan game. He'll have to. We're going to ask him questions about it since we haven't talked to him since then. It's not our fault they haven't made him available. But also I am curious, we got to push it ahead and look at the Tennessee game. What are they going to do about this offensive line? You mentioned that they've had a chance to get healthy. Obviously, they can't do anything about Seth McLaughlin and Josh Simmons. But talking to Coach Day 12 days ago sure sounded like there were some changes coming on the offensive line. It could be as simple as Josh Padilla becomes the center and they move Hinsman to left guard, back to left guard, and move Seyerveld to right guard and put Tegra on the bench. That's kind of what I'm predicting what will happen. But they have some other options as well, one of which is to do nothing and do what they did, to finish the year. But I feel like it was pretty clear from what Coach Day said that changes are coming. So I'm curious to hear Chip talk about a lot of stuff today, man, including not that he's going to say exactly what they're going to do, but again, I think we're going to be able to read between the lines between what Day and Kelly say today about this O-line and what they might do.
I'm curious how Day is going to approach the questions about the Michigan game, and same with Chip Kelly. I understand we're going to ask Chip Kelly a bunch of questions, but I could see him saying that's behind us. We're focused on the future kind of thing. What is it? We're on to Carolina. Something literally. By the way, I know.
On to Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't do
early
it
in the morning. I haven't had my diet Mountain Dew yet.
Yeah. And I would like to have an empty room with Chip, maybe a bodyguard with me because I'm no longer in my youth.
I don't think you'd need it.
I think I would, dude. I'm old. My
Chip's
back is killing me after sleeping last night, but I digress. And I'd like to have it out with him, but I don't know. I'm not sure how productive that is. As much as I'd like him, the pound of flesh, I really would rather he was focused on creamsicle orange than whatever yellow that is.
I get that, but I just want to say one thing. I want to let everybody behind the curtain. I'm a part of a couple of group texts with guys on the beat, and the biggest one I'm on, both of them. And I am usually not that we haven't talked to this coach. This is the worst thing in the world, There might even be a guy that works at Bucknuts that gets a little hot under the collar about when we don't get to speak with a coach for a certain period of time. People are mad about this on the beat. So if Chip comes out there, it's because it's not our fault. Now, I really am not mad. I wish we would have got a chance to talk to Chip Kelly. But I'm saying other guys and gals on the beat are pissed that they've been hiding Chip Kelly from us from the biggest debacle that we've ever seen from an offensive coordinator at Ohio State. And that includes Elliott Uzelak was so bad that Robert Smith had to quit the team. We've seen some bad things. We've never seen anything like that. And for them to hide him from the media for this long, people are pissed just from talking to my guys and gals on the beat. Their questions will get asked. And if he stonewalls it, that won't be a good look. And I get it. Oh, it's game week. Just ask about Tennessee. Don't hide him for 3 weeks then.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I can see it from both sides. I definitely have been on that group of, I haven't been at Ohio State like that, but I understand what you're saying. But I will also say, and you know this, the beat has a personality of its own, and sometimes it spills out into the public, and I'm not sure the public really gives a rat's A. In some cases, like when you, in this case, they may, but when we have these arguments over this guy said this and this guy said that among writers, guess what people care about? Not at all. If that's what everyone wants to do, that's fine. I'll just say this. Ask yourself this question, and we can say this at Bucknuts. Okay. This is not the Columbus Dispatch. Does it help the team to do that? I mean, I'd rather have him be focused on Tennessee. I understand he needs to answer for it, but I also know that you are not going to get in this press conference what you want, and you know that, Dave. He is not going to come out and say, you know what, guy from media, you're right. I should have thrown it 50 times to Jeremiah. I should have called you before the game. We sucked. I blew it, and maybe he will say that, but you rarely get the pound of flesh is what I'm saying. So it's just a waste of time. And you know how I feel about this. I'm not a big press conference guy.
Day kind of gave it to us 12. I gave him credit. He kind of said, yeah.
But it wasn't game week. And it was a much more different situation.
My synopsis of his press conference last week was, yeah, I bleeped up. Yeah, I effed up. Like I first ticked off as I was about the game plan and then the lack of adjustments. Like at least I give him credit for owning it. I don't know, man. Chip Kelly makes $2 million a year. If he has to get up there and have some 10-6 changes with reporters, so be it. I'm still disgusted with that. And he has been hiding from the media. It's not our fault.
I get that, but he's not going anywhere, Dave. He's not like moving to Texas after if they lose to Tennessee, you can hammer him. I mean, he's not going anywhere. This is not that guilt and that blame is not going anywhere. We've already established that the Michigan game is treated differently. They could win the national championship. And in the post-game press conference, he'll be like, someone will ask him, is it amazing that you got over the Michigan game and got so much smarter? You know that. So it's not going anywhere. This is just about people wanting to inflict pain on someone that inflicted pain on them, which I get because I felt the pain. Oh, Dave, come on. You know it is. Well, you're not going to.
I have to push back on that. This was not just because he inflicted pain on, like, let's say, especially some of these guys are not. I'll put it this way. I kind of wish they were more like Buckeye. Back the Buckeyes. I'll put it that way. I don't think any of them are anti-Buckeye on the beat.
When you say they,
like they don't, they're not pissed.
Hold on a sec. You mean the beat guys?
Yeah, some of the beat guys.
Okay. I didn't understand who you're talking about. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, so some of these guys aren't Buckeye fans. I'm being kind.
Right.
Okay, I don't think they're anti-Buckeye, including one that No, I'm kidding. They don't care. They don't care.
I know that, but that doesn't make it right.
They're just wanting him to answer. He makes $2 million a year, and he just laid the biggest egg we've ever seen an offensive coordinator lay at Ohio State. Now, maybe that's all on Day. Day was asked about it. Were you calling more plays? Were you more involved? He's like, it's basically what we've been doing. He's like, I'm on the headset, though, with Chip. And then you almost could feel him thinking like, oh, did I kind of throw Chip under the bus there? And then he said, but hey, the buck stops with me. So did Day come up with a game plan? I'm sure he did. They collaborated on the game plan. They both came up with the game plan. But if Chip's the one calling the plays, you have to adjust. And, I don't know. I just feel like he needs to be asked about it. It's my opinion.
I'm not saying he doesn't need to be asked about it, but the idea of grilling him routinely now, I just don't, I don't understand. It's not, I don't understand it and I get it, but I also, just like you just said, and in some ways, they're not Ohio State fans. So that doesn't make it more relevant. 3 weeks later, if you lose an NFL game, yes, I'll ask you questions about it, but they're not going to. I understand it if they want to do that, and it makes sense. But I also know, and you know this too, he's not going to give you the answer you want anyway. If you really could get on him, and he would be like, you know what, you got me. Here's what happened. I actually thought we could run on Mason Graham. I thought he was terrible, and blah, blah, blah. If he was going to do that, and this is what press conferences were like, then I would be in favor of that because you'd be throwing out the truth. All you're going to do is get guys ask questions different ways, him answer it by saying nothing, this guy trying to ask the same question again in a different way, him answering again in a different tone, maybe making a joke to make everyone chuckle, and then you move on to the Tennessee game. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to answer for what was a terrible, terrible performance. You're not going to get what you want out of it. That's my problem with it. Now, I know it's going to happen, and it's perfunctory, and you know that, but he's also not going to give those guys the pound of flesh because he does not. I hate to say that. I don't think he cares what the press thinks in a lot of ways. He's going home he's getting in his Maserati and going home and, breaking down film. He's not worried about what Buckeye Nation says.
He has a little bit of an everyman car. I mean, it's a nice car, but I'm sure he's got it souped up as much as possible. He drives a Ford Bronco.
Okay.
He could drive a Maserati if he wanted to. He was making $6 million at his old job. He coached in the NFL, making millions. Even now, he had to take a $4 million pay cut to make $2 million. Life's good when you're taking a $4 million pay cut and you're still making $2 million. I get all that.
It's not money, Dave. I'm not talking about money.
Everybody has been just absolutely just saying what a great hire this was all year until the Michigan game. And it's like now he just goes into hiding. So whatever. Is what it is. I just feel like for the future of Buckeye Nation, he should talk to like the kids out there. Need to hear from him. I say that a little bit in jest. I say that a little bit in jest, but I do want to welcome in our newest sponsor. This is a really cool thing. You guys, this is really, really, really super cool and like nothing that has sponsored our show before. It's called Future Fans. Okay, we're talking about young Buckeyes who we want to be super fans. Well, not super fans like the weird guys, but like just like really good Buckeye fans. So this is geared towards kids that are Buckeye fans. Buckeye Nation experiencing a deep playoff run is like nothing else in the world. It's a shared experience with family, friends, and strangers, anticipating the next matchup and living and dying on every play when game day finally arrives. You can create memories that will last a lifetime. And for the first time ever, that experience is finally here for the college football playoff fans with the playoff. And it starts Saturday with an SEC opponent visiting the Shoe in December. If you have young kids or no young kids, and there's one thing you need to make sure they get to experience the magic of a playoff run right alongside of you. And that's Future Fans Football. Trust me, this is the best $50 you're going to spend. Future Fans help little kids become big football fans by embedding the rules of football into parallel games and activities in a way that is absolutely genius. Get this. The dads who invented it are based right here in Columbus, Ohio. That's right. The dads who invented this based right here in Columbus, Ohio. That's so cool. Seriously, go to futurefans.com/OSU right now. Futurefans.com OSU right now to see what I mean. Maybe after the show. That's futurefans.com/OSU. And make sure the little ones in your life experience the magic of this playoff run right alongside of you. Very cool. Futurefans.com/OSU.
That's a good one.
We're just breeding more Buckeye fans is what we're doing.
That's a good one. No personal hygiene or narcotics involved.
Even the little kids know that Bill O'Brien was Ryan Day's first choice for offensive coordinator. I can't let it go.
Yeah, but I got to say, I did not.
What do you think about Bill O'Brien? Was Ryan's first instinct here? I'm not going to do it, Dan. Ugh.
Yeah, but I can't do that, Dave. I was the one, and I'll take this on the chin. I said I really thought when they won the national championship, Chip Kelly would get a lion's share of the credit. So, and look,
maybe he will.
I was going to say that could still happen.
Right.
It'd be a success, a Cinderella story at this point.
If they do that, they're going to be like, see, we lured everybody to sleep thinking that we sucked and we were stupid and we lost to a bad Michigan team. Then what do we do? Bam, 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 bam. Crazy like a fox. We can dream. Let's dream about the portal. So many interesting things here. Joel Klatt's so interesting to me because, like, a lot of time, most of the time, it feels like I agree with like some of his rants. Sometimes I don't, but most of the time, like when he's just on like Twitter or his podcast, I'm like, man, he's making good points here. Sometimes he ticks me off during the game, so I feel like he doesn't like Ohio State, but he's kind of unfair. But he's completely right about the transfer portal. The fact that kids in the playoffs are having to make decisions right now is ridiculous. I love, and I've said this now 2 or 3 times on the pod, I love how Devin Brown's handling it. I give him so much credit. This was before we learned what Penn State's backup quarterback's doing. And I don't fault this young man. He feels like he has to go on visits and stuff this week, can't practice. He doesn't want to play in the CFP. That is Bo Pribula, Penn State's backup quarterback, who plays a lot for a backup. Nice change of pace. He's not going to play for Penn State in the CFP. He's transferring. Klatt was blasting this whole. I think that probably is what sparked Klatt's rant. I totally agree with him. They shouldn't be doing it right now. I don't know how you can change it. So the Pribula thing, that's very interesting, especially considering what Devin Brown's doing and just the timing of it. I want you to comment on that, just get your thoughts on that. And then I want to get into some of the guys that Ohio State's looking at to land from the portal, like a Quentin Joyner, for example, or a Josh Thompson. But we'll get into the first part first.
Yeah, it's hard to understand how badly this has been screwed up from the playoff approach that has Boise State and Arizona State getting a bye to a system that has guys having to leave a team with a legit. I mean, by the way, you said we are tied with
Georgia?
Texas. We're tied with Georgia.
Yeah, so it goes Oregon. Oregon's got the best odds. I'm surprised Texas. It's because they're road. I do get it, but I don't.
The same.
So Texas has the second best odds. Then Georgia and Ohio State tied for third. Penn State's fifth. Notre Dame is sixth at 7-1, and then it drops all the way to 25-1 for Tennessee at 7. So Ohio State is 5-1 odds. Tennessee is 25-1 odds.
Yeah, so he's not leaving a team that's 12th. He's leaving a team that's 5th. I thought I saw odds that had Texas and Oregon tied and Georgia and Ohio State tied. Regardless, it's the same 4. But the 5th, I'm pretty sure across the board from all your Vegas spots, is Penn State.
Yep.
And so, look, 4 games to win a championship and you're the backup quarterback, it's realistic to think you're going to be needed. I don't even think that's like, he may be needed. You play 4 games against elite competition, and you can get into who's elite and who's not. You're splitting hairs here. Or 3 or 4. You're going to need your backup quarterback. That's almost like a fact.
And they mix him in a lot anyway, Dan, as you know.
And he's a change-up.
Short yardage and stuff. Like Kolenick, I mixed him in a lot. He had like 300 rushing yards this year.
He's not like Drew Allen at all. He's more of a runner type, which even leads you to believe more to be used in, gimmick spots or, specific game packages, goal line stuff like you mentioned. It's incredible. I don't blame him at all because this does lead one to believe, and this is no guarantee, this does lead one to believe that Drew Aller is going to be returning to Penn State. I had an NFL guy tell me he was the guy he was looking at for, you want to talk if someone went on a 4-game run that could really improve their stock. He's like, Aller could play himself into the first round. So, by the way, he hasn't signed anything. If he does that, he could still do it. But yeah, it's a shame. People are going to look back on this season and be like, what the hell happened? Why would you do those things? When you're like trying to reverse engineer some of this stuff, even when you get to the answer, it's not fulfilling. So my hope is they'll make some pretty drastic changes just to simplify everything. So here's for me. I would make everything the most basic as possible. I hate the NBA Cup. I hate everything. And I don't like how we add teams to the NCAA tournament.
Right.
It's been proven in this country. Here's what we love. We love a regular tournament where you give us a regular bracket. You want to get people into this tournament really big? Start with a bracket day 1 and send it out to everybody, have it picked and everything, 1 to 12 or 1 to 16. Put 4 more teams in. I don't even care. Just make it a fair bracket. People can watch it. Don't make, this guy beats this guy. We redo that. Here's what people like. A bracket they can follow. They can pick it the first, you can hand it out in your office. Everyone picks it. More women would get involved with college football picking. Do you know a lot of women that follow college basketball? I don't know that many. I know a ton that do the tournament brackets. Mm-hmm. What are we doing here? That makes no sense to me. That was just money they just let fly out the door. But another digression.
Let's get
to possible at this point, Dave.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just another thing that add another log to the fire of just insanity that's happened to college football over the last 3 years. Let's have the transfer portal going on open right in the middle of the playoff. Unbelievable.
That's even worse.
I don't fault the kids at all. They weren't put in this place. I mean, Prabula had a really nice message he had to Penn State fans. He was like, "Listen, I don't like that we've been put in this position, but again, yeah, it's not their fault. It makes Devin Brown look even better that he's entering the portal but sticking around for the playoff. I love that. All right, let's close with this because I got to eventually get to show up and still get my butt over to Ohio State. All right, Quentin Joyner, the running back from USC, of course, as you mentioned on the show Thursday, he visited Thursday. That's very interesting right there. Of course, they need running backs in the portal. I like James Peoples a lot, but you need you're losing 2 guys assuming Q goes pro, which is an easy assumption. And then offensive line, they're looking at a lot of guys, but they're looking at Josh Thompson from Northwestern. He visited on Friday, still was here a little bit on Saturday as well. Isaiah World from Nevada. He's expected to visit sometime this week. And then kind of the new-ish name on the list is Ethan Onianwa. I think I got that. Ethan Onianwa from Rice. Big dude, like 6'6", 350 big. He just is coming off a visit from Iowa. So, but Buckeyes are trying to get him here. Man, I mean, they're do you think it's realistic that they're going to land 3 offensive linemen in the portal? I mean, that'd be nice. And just what are you hearing about these guys?
I do think it's realistic that they're going to land 3 offensive linemen in the portal. If it was this particular 3, I think I'd be a little surprised. There's a reason that as the portal thrust has gotten going, you see so many offensive linemen being discussed everywhere. It's because in an open market, those that are the most scarce get the most attention first. There's just not that many dudes out there that are big and strong enough to play at Ohio State and play on the line. Now, we have the sticking up the portal thing, the people saying that's the stuff I don't get. The portal is not closed, okay? Ohio State has gone through 1 rotation of the portal, and we got the best defensive player in the country and the Remington Award winner. Let's see who can do that again. And by the way, I'm not talking about Quinshon Judkins or the starting quarterback. Let's reserve judgment on the portal, considering the majority of the players they would go after are on playoff teams, okay? Yes, you have – I don't know if you remember this, Dave. A few years ago, we talked about the portal, and I thought the template recruit would be Davis Igbinosun, guy with more than 1 year of starting experience left from a really good SEC school that we at least talked to during his recruitment. So Mansour Delane is a guy I would be looking at, defensive back from Virginia Tech, 3rd-team All-ACC. His brother will be a freshman at Ohio State from Good Counsel High School. And apparently, I think this is going to be an Oregon-Ohio State battle. Somehow Oregon NIL money is half of ours and they get everybody. Maybe those statistics weren't accurate. On the line, Isaiah World, I think they are closer to than the others. But keep in mind, as we say this, someone else is not getting an offensive lineman and coming back with a bigger offer. So this is total effing chaos. I mean, like when they wake up in the morning, they expect chaos. That's a quote. And that's across the board. So for me to sit here and say what I expect to happen would be a stretch. I'll say this. As much as we get on Justin Fry, if you were a transfer and you're looking at a place that can develop you, a right tackle from San Diego State that I had never heard of came to Ohio State, played left tackle, blew his knee out, and is widely regarded now by the good draft experts as the best tackle in the draft. So they did something good with him. Seth McLaughlin improved his stock here. They did something with that. So
a lot. He improved his stocks.
Right.
Some argue that Alabama wasn't sad to see him go. It turns out those snapping issues.
He was a pariah.
Were on Milrow, not
Correct.
on. And we heard rumblings. There could have been like a cadence issue there. It turns out that's exactly what it was. Yeah, that's a good point. Those are 2 huge feathers in Fry's cap. It wasn't like the Caleb Downs version of an offensive lineman transfer. No. It was like, well, it had nothing to do with Fry. It's like no one knew anything about Josh Simmons. People thought McLaughlin was like, he's an Alabama cast-off, and as you articulated very well, I mean, he turned him into the Remington Award winner and very high draft pick in Simmons, despite the fact both are coming off serious injuries. I give McLaughlin a ton of credit. McLaughlin played in basically 9.5 games and won the Remington. It's crazy.
The thing about Josh Simmons is when you go to recruit and your goal is to get a guy who could eventually, you're looking for Josh Simmons. The best left tackle in this draft. Now, it's not considered a great draft for offensive linemen. I don't care. If you're ever the best offensive lineman, a left tackle in a draft, you're a really good player. So that when you go, like the best case scenario for Sam Greer, who's at Akron Hoban, would be to be the best left tackle in the draft. That's what they did with Josh Simmons. I think we sleep on that a little bit. But here's who isn't sleeping on that. Other people who want to come here and have the chance to play left tackle, we can say to Isaiah World, look, out west, you're this. You come here, you get with us. Maybe he's better at teaching veterans. I don't know. But those two guys really improved their stock. It wasn't like they came here and middled out. So that is a feather in their cap. Can it be used to get these other guys? Anyone who tells you with a super degree of certainty that they know what's going on in the transfer portal better be related to the person you're talking about or doing their negotiations.
Right.
Because there's even been times, and Dave, you can speak to this. There's been times when, as a reporter, you can report something and be accurate, and then 15 minutes later, something else gets reported, and that's accurate too. And everyone's like, oh, you got scooped. It's like, no, guess what happened? In the last 15 minutes, a 20-year-old male changed his mind. That happens. So this could happen here. Literally, you're talking about a thing like there are recruits who say, oh, I'm committing on a Wednesday. I'm signing at my high school. And we'll say, you got till Tuesday night at 9 p.m. We're taking the highest bidder. That has already happened. So there's no way to know. And especially when you're dealing with now, like we talk about, like I saw an interview with Mark Lazary, who owns, I believe it's the Bucks. He's like, I may buy a college football team. I may just start doing that. Look, Nike has dropped several big-time NBA players from shoe contracts, and they're starting to spend a lot of money on NIL. So maybe they've just decided they're going to do that. Uncle Phil's decided, you know what? A signature shoe is going to, as like I said, the kid picked Purdue over Dylan Tieneman, picked Oregon over Ohio State coming from Purdue. And I said, we should reserve judgment till we see what the Air Tienemans look like. You think he's going to have a shoe made there with Neem offered? By the way, there's only 4 spots in the secondary. So Oregon's going to be – there'll be a purge coming. That's another thing, Dave. All these additions, you're going to have the biggest purges ever coming after these because everyone's adding, and Oregon is overloaded.
Keep it locked to Bucknuts today, my friends. It's like old school, big Monday press conference. If you guys remember throughout the Urban era, we had the big press conferences every Monday at noon, and Coach Day changed that to every Tuesday. So, and we have availability tomorrow, both interviews and open practice, and we're getting Coach Day again on Wednesday. But again, Ryan Day today, Chip Kelly today finally, and 4 players today. So keep it locked to Bucknuts. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.